Yo, it's 6 a.m. On the officially now the 22nd of June. So 2 days after these games were played, and I just caught up with the VODs, and this game is fucking unreal. What the hell happened to lunatic-hai and Conbox? This is it's this is gonna be a long one of rewind. It's as in I've got a lot of things to cover, but I'm gonna try and blast through them. They are all about Sombra. What the fuck happened to lunatic-hai? They benched Who Are You and just suddenly decided that they were going to become strategic masterminds, aka bring Sombra out on every single map, no matter what, like even if it's not particularly viable. And you can argue that that's because they're playing into Combat Spirit, who are like the biggest Sombra team in Korea at the moment. But they're sometimes doing it even when Conbox and Twilight aren't running Sombra. So it's not like they're just deliberately trying to counterplay them. Sometimes they were just genuinely going over to that because they thought it was the best strategy, it seems. And they run this really weird thing that you can actually see at the moment where most teams, almost all teams actually now, have kind of gone over to just running the Sombra instead of the flex support. And at certain points during the map, like later on on this Hollywood second attack, I think, Jaehong switches over to the Soldier 76, so they have that single support from the Lucio. But a lot of the time, they're running it with the double support, and they almost have no damage. But anyway, let's crack on with the actual shit. Because there were loads and loads. Sombra always throws up these situations, right? But where there's, like, tiny details that you really need to nail down to understand how the fight happened. But this game was mad. It was just full of them. It was fucking unbelievable. Right, so this one is crazy, this starting one. And I'm not sure that anyone pointed this out. Some of these, obviously, you will have seen, but I just want to reiterate stuff. But this one's mental. I had to rewind it a couple of times and, like, really think through it. But maybe I'm dumb. Okay, so basically the situation is that lunatic-hai are defending. They've just lost the point. ESKA was trying to play the defensive Sombra. Fair enough. Wasn't able to get his EMP off. Now he's got the EMP to try and defend with. And Combat Spirit are playing into this. They know that Combat Spirit are going to try and run a Nano Blade into them. And so ESKA's thought process here is that he's going to wait until the Nano Boost and the Dragon Blade are used, pop the EMP onto Architect, and try and get rid of two ults. Because normally, of course, most Sombras, almost all Sombras, use their ultimate proactively, as in they use it before any other ultimates are engaged. They like to go aggressively in, use the ultimate, you get a team wipe. But the disadvantage is that the attacking team, or the opposing team, no matter what it is, doesn't actually use ultimates most of the time because the hack literally stops them from using it. So in some sense, it's worse than just winning a normal fight because at least then the opposing team actually use their ultimates and they have to build them up again. With the EMP, you win the fight, but they normally come back in with the ults. So ESKA here is going for... Oh, wait, I'm going to have this whole thing in mute, actually, because I'm not going to allow you guys just to watch it because I think that would take forever because there's like 10 different clips. No, there's like 7. But... okay, so ESKA's thought process here is that he's going to hang back, he's going to wait, and either deny Oporochi's sound barrier or get this play. So here he's playing towards the back, again, waiting for the Nano Blade to come in, and it's pretty crazy, right? There's the Nano Boost, all right? This is a perfect camera angle to track it as well. Just OGN cameraman. Okay, so Twilight uses the Nano Boost, pops it up there. ESKA hears it, he moves in, and he's going to now try and use the EMP, and it's like a reactive EMP, right? And so if he gets it onto Architect, once he uses his Dragon Blade, or even before he uses Dragon Blade, to be honest, then he's fucked, and he's not really going to get value out of one or possibly two ultimates if he really times it perfectly. So, but Architect reads it. So normally, Genji's dash upwards to get the Nano Boost, which is what he's done here, and then they drop down and they start fighting. Like they dash upwards to catch the Nano Boost so that they're away from everybody else and you don't get boostios all over the place. And then they'll draw the Nano Blade and then they'll go back down into people. Architect draws his Nano Blade, gets another dash and dashes upwards to avoid the EMP. Dashes upwards and you're just about to see the EMP pop there and manages to avoid the EMP. And so he comes down and he just fucking slaughters them. He just carves them up. And Oporochi actually didn't get caught either. So it was a little bit of a misplay perhaps by ESKA, but actually a really sick counterplay and like really nice thought process on all sides. If you just watch it again, just all the way through, you'll see that ESKA's waiting reactively. Like he knows exactly what he wants to do with it, it seems. And Architect knows that he knows what he wants to do with it. And Oporoshi positions himself even further away. There he goes, jumps even higher up, gets the Nanoblade out, and now he's going to absolutely cause mayhem. So I thought that was a super cool play, actually. I very rarely see Sombras using their ultimates reactively to try and neutralize other ultimates, other than the sound barrier. But I thought that was super cool, because also Architect managed to outplay it. Alright, this next one is the Sombra attack. Oh, fuck. The Sombra attack coming out from lunatic-hai on Hollywood. Just a pointer here, just to say, I don't like it. Like, I think Sombra attack on Hollywood, especially when you know that you're going to be playing into a defensive Sombra, and they do it twice, so they definitely know that Twilight's going to be playing it, even if they hadn't done their research beforehand. Like, look what happens here. This is just random luck. Twilight, I think, is not expecting ESKA to be running an offensive Sombra, and for whatever reason, I literally don't know why, has decided not to hack this health pack over on the right hand side to try and deny it from the attackers, has decided instead to hack 2 minis closer to where the cafe is, and so ESKA manages to get this one, right? Fair enough, but it actually takes them still quite a while to generate their ultimates, because they're really not playing in the flank, they're playing over here, and they end up taking forever to take the point. On the other hand, when lunatic-hai defend, they run the same composition. So they hack up, well, they hack up the health kit over there, though it's in the flank. And then they hack up the mini over here. And literally Combat Spirit just run a dive comp and kill them. Like, they don't run the attack Sombra. I don't really get the value of the attack Sombra. Yes, there's a mega over there, like through security and over to the left, like behind this building. But you're never going to be playing around there. You're not going to get value out of that. If you know that you're playing into a defensive Sombra, which is starting to become a bit of a staple, if teams aren't going to be playing the triple support or tanks, then they're, you know, strong possibility that they might be playing the defensive Sombra. Movistar Riders and teams like that in EU enjoy playing it as well, and it doesn't make sense to me that they would run attack Sombra. This is the second time that they run it as well. This time in the overtime. So both teams managed to complete the map, and it goes to overtime. Both teams have 1 minute left. lunatic-hai start on the attack. Again, they run the attack Sombra, but this time, like, you got some blind luck the first time, and Twilight realized this mistake. That's just not going to happen again. So he comes over here, and he just hacks it as soon as the game starts. And then he translocates back, or runs back or something. Yeah, he just gets some free damage here. So now ESKA, I mean, this was terrible. And they eventually managed to take it by the skin of their teeth, lunatic-hai. But it was just a terrible game plan going into this. I literally don't understand what ESKA's going for here. Or rather, what the whole team's going for. Because you can't blame ESKA. It's not, I'm sure he's not going like, oh, please, Daddy, I really want to play Daddy. What the fuck? Maybe he calls the coach Daddy. I don't know. Yeah, so, I mean, it's like translocating back out to that big health kit over there. But none of the rest of his team are playing around there. He's getting almost no value out of that. And look, EMP already up for Twilight. ESKA's on 30%. I mean, how is this attack Sombra going to work? I really don't like it. Okay, now this next play is, again, this is just later on in the round. So lunatic-hai, they managed to capture the point. They actually avoid getting completely wiped in a cool play that I was going to put in, but I decided not to because I had too many clips. And then here it is. So Conbox Spirit have already... Oh, yeah, sorry. lunatic-hai were pushing second. Conbox Spirit have already pushed in overtime, and they actually got a ridiculous push that saw them get all the way through into the warehouse and like just around this corner. Got a crazy overtime push with only a minute left. So lunatic-hai are trying to replicate the same kind of thing. They're into the overtime. I think they even capped point A in overtime because their composition was so bad with the attacking Sombra. Like, it took them forever to generate the EMP, and then they got it off, and it was still really scrappy engagement that they could have lost. Okay, but now, all right, if you actually have a look at what's going on here, they've just had an engagement where both Sombras use the EMP, so they know that both of those guys are going to have them up. They also know that both of the Winstons use their Primal Rage, and they also know that Toby was forced to use his sound barrier. That was the thing that basically won them the previous fight, that allowed them to push to this point. This is an overtime, so this is like a crucial situation. They're keeping track of the ults. Conbox Spirit is coming out of here. They didn't use their sound barrier. Oporochi used it in the fight instead. back when they were trying to defend. Didn't use it in the skirmish that just happened. Basically, there's been 3 fights. 1 to capture point A, 1 in the streets that lunatic-hai won, and this is about to be the 3rd. So they know that this sound barrier is coming up. But ESKA has his ultimate building, right? So that's a perfect counter. Because as soon as you get, and you can see ESKA at the back here, he's moving around here, he's going to hack this health kit, and then there's going to be a big brawl that happens over here on the point that lunatic-hai are going to force happening outside, either outside the jail, or possibly even outside the point, depending on how much they can apply pressure on the con box and stop them coming out of this choke point and make it really late. And he's going to be able to use his EMP to utterly negate Orochi's sound barrier, and they should be able to take this fight because they know that there's no other ultimates on the board. Okay, now look what happens. This fucking blew my mind. I just didn't understand what was happening here. So ESKA goes over here, they find the enemy Sombra. This health gets hacked, right? No problem. Okay, ESKA's still playing real aggressively. Look, he's got 94%. If he carries on staying in this location and literally just spams at the tanks as they come out through this choke point, he's going to have his EMP. Orochi's at 98% as well. They're going to be able to match each other, and he's going to be able to dispel the sound barrier. Instead, ESKA takes a 1v1 with Asher. I don't understand what this is. He very deliberately takes this. Maybe there's a reason that I'm too stupid to understand, but I have been thinking about this solidly for like 5 minutes after I saw this play, because I was wondering whether to add it or not. Like, does it make me look stupid if there's a genuine reason? But I cannot think of one. Why on earth ESKA turns away from the fight that's absolutely pivotal that they have to win before this second checkpoint, when he knows that Orochi's going to have a sound barrier up, turns around and starts dueling Asher in a 1v1 where he's not going to get that much damage out onto Asher. He's trying to generate the last 4% of his ult, and it just doesn't make sense from any aspect. Like, he's not likely to win it. Even if he gets a hack onto Asher, it's like a fairly even fight. Even if you can't blink around, Asher still does a ton of damage. And look, he just takes this fight. He's nowhere to be seen. Now Convox Spirit actually initiates. Sleepy Bear defense matrixes through. And then Orochi uses the sound barrier. Alright, where's the sound barrier? Sound barrier used. Okay, now. So it catches on to Gamsu, Orochi, and Asher. And they use this one forwards. It's actually pretty clutch as well that this Winston shield here out from Miro blocks the sound barrier. Like, the sound barrier doesn't catch on to Twilight or Sleepy Bear because of the Winston barrier. There's a 1 second grace period with sound barriers, and he comes inside Miro's shield, uses it. It only catches on these guys that are around here, or it must have been like, it must have just been blocked the line of sight, right? So he's not actually inside because he also catches Asher, who's down here. So it catches these guys with like the grace period, but it doesn't catch these dudes over here. But ESKA doesn't really know that. Like, ESKA they might have called it, but he's positioned himself horribly. And then he just decides to use it to carry on dueling his 1v1. Like, oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so it doesn't even block it. No, I'm retarded. I paused it too quickly. But actually, the wave managed to spread while he was outside that. Okay, so ignore everything I said about the Winston barrier. That didn't actually do anything. So it catches onto all 5 of these. This just makes ESKA's play even worse, honestly. It reinforces my point, even though I was being utterly stupid there and assuming things. Okay, so it catches onto all 5 players. Really nice sound barrier, great engage. Gamsu just jumps over there to fucking deal with ESKA, who's pissing around in the backlines, has just managed to generate his EMP. If ESKA was here, he would have been able to charge his ult out of the people coming and eliminate all of those shields from everyone and hack them, and they almost definitely would have won that fight. Instead, he now uses his EMP there, look, poof, and it takes the shield away from Asher and Gamsu, who are on him in the back. And that's it. He's taken a 1v2 against a Tracer and a Winston. And he dies. And the rest of his team dies. And they lose the map. when they potentially could have won it. Like, that might have genuinely started a snowball that they could then win. I don't understand. I really don't understand what was going through ESKA's head there. Okay, here's the next one then. So this was really cool, or it was kind of interesting. It didn't actually work out, but it was an interesting one. So Ryu Hong is attacking on Sombra again. As I said, so much Sombra in these games, man. It was making me want to die by the end of it, watching all of this Sombra play. So attacking with a Sombra, they kind of know that Twilight's going to be on Sombra. He runs it all the time. So Ryu Hong uses... He realizes that this one's already been denied by Twilight. So instead, he goes all the way back to point B and hacks this. This is kind of genius, because if they manage to win the fight now, Twilight can't hack the health pack. He's already done all that work for him. Like, they've already got a really established position into point B. Now, what actually happens is that they end up losing this fight, and instead, Jaehong goes up top. So they lose this fight, and let me see. Didn't actually set a bookmark for the next part, but they managed to get... Where is it? Is it here? This might be it. No, that's not it. At some point... it was just before this. Okay, let's just try a little rewind. Okay, let's assume it's around here. So, Jaehong realizes that Twilight's hack is running out on the health pack at the oh, fuck me. Okay, well, you'll see it anyway. So Jaehong's going up there now, actually. So Jaehong goes up to the right-hand side. He's already hacked that health kit over the other side, and you can see that this health kit is belonging to Twilight at the moment. And Jaehong comes up. He realizes that it's just about to run out. And this is instead of going and rehacking the one over at B, right? He's focusing on this one instead now. So he goes and gets this one. Twilight isn't quite able to establish control over there for whatever reason. I mean, I think that was just like an oversight from Twilight, actually. That he wasn't able to get that. And now they come in. Sleepy Bear assumes it's still hacked. Goes up there to try and get the health. They lose it, or he loses his mech and dies, and they're able to take this first point. But they've kind of given up control of the B health kit for it. But they managed to get it anyway. And then another crazy Sombra v Sombra fight ensues. And this goes back to the video, the rewind video that I did previously, where I really talked about Sombra attack on Anubis B. So if you want to look at that, then go have a look. But this was kind of more of the same. It was very similar to that LG Evil against Toronto Esports Sombra v Sombra that I analyzed. So this is the same kind of thing, where Jaehong and Twilight are fighting over control of this pack under here, and it just goes on and on. But here, the casters absolutely lampoon, they spifflicate ESKA for using for not pairing up his Death Blossom with this EMP that Jaehong pops, and then he just uses his Death Blossom in like a just random spot. But what actually happens is, if you look at the VOD, is that Twilight and Jaehong use their ult at the exact same time. Like, literally the exact same time. So, they come out here. I can't even see, actually, where Twilight is. And look, Twilight uses his ult. He's just gone down to 0% at the exact same time as Jaehong is using his. And it literally actually says, cancelled, on his things. So, it's kind of crazy. So I guess this is like favor the shooter kind of thing again. So as far as I'm aware, pretty much every motherfucker on the field now is hacked. So ESKA, I mean, it goes over to ESKA's point of view right now. He cannot use his Death Blossom as like pairing up afterwards. So there's just no chance of the follow-up there. He manages to get the kill on Twilight, does the best that he can. Obviously Reaper's still pretty good, even if you can't use it. And then he drops down to the floor and he uses his Death Blossom. So now... Yeah, now he uses his Death Blossom and then dies. And the casters and the chat are spamming ESKA lol. But he just switches over to Soldier 76. Like, he just wanted to switch, so he used his Death Blossom. So that was not an ESKA throw. So, you know, I called out ESKA before on Hollywood. I'm just trying to reverse the scales. Yeah, that was all I wanted to say about this one. Okay, this is, again, on Anubis. This one's the Combox Spirit attacking. Again, more Sombra. End me. Combox Spirit attacking with a Sombra. Jaehong defending. Now, this was crazy, because this, more than when lunatic-hai were attacking, is Combox definitely want control of this lower thing. And this is insane, because Twilight translocates in, uses his EMP. Alright, wait. I should actually wind this a little further back, so that you can see him scout out the area beforehand. Alright, let's see. So you actually see Twilight scout out the health kit underneath, realize that Jaehong's hack is going to run out, and then he makes this play. So the scouting is pretty important at the beginning as well. They're just kind of trying to take a fight on the point. A lot of these fights, when both teams have the EMP up, they like try and they full commit, and then they back off. This where Twilight realizes that it's half hacked. Guido goes around the side. Okay, whereabouts is it? Maybe I rewound too much. Yeah, I did. I rewound a minute backwards by accident. Okay, never mind. We just watched an extra minute of the action for no good reason. That'll help me keep a really concise and short video. Okay, so it should be coming up about now. So, about 20 seconds until he makes the play. Twilight scouts out the kit at the bottom. Come on, dude. Don't leave me hanging. You definitely do this at some point. Alright, so there. Okay, maybe it's not Twilight, but the rest of his team scouts it out, and they realize that the pack is somewhere close to running out. So they get that intel. Twilight then makes a really cool play. He translocates in just as Ryu Jaehong is going for the rehack. So there's Jaehong. He comes around the side. Jaehong is now there. Wait, is that Jaehong? Fucking all purple. I can't tell which one's Jaehong. But either way, Jaehong is somewhere in this blob of purple, and he is hacking that lower health kit. I'm trying to rehack it because it's just about to go neutral. And Twilight comes in, EMPs him. Yeah, that is Jaehong, isn't it? EMPs him so that he can't use his hack and can't flip the health kit. And then that health kit is now open. See? Oh, well, it's just about to run out, and then it's going to be open. But Twilight actually dies here. So even though he played it really well, Twilight just gets focused. Like, lunatic-hai realized what he's doing, and then just focus him down. And it's like a priority target, and he dies before he can get the health kit hack. So it was a real battle of mind games on Sombra in that final one, but it made it such a weird, messy game. And just to top it all off, right? Just when you thought it couldn't get more mental between the Sombra battles between these two teams, the lunatic-hai somehow got baited into playing the Combox Spirit game, and not just playing dive into them and trying to bait out the EMP and then going when you've got the opportunity when the EMP is down, which I vastly prefer to an attack Sombra. All right, so when you just thought it couldn't get any more ridiculous, both of these teams actually draw on Anubis and go to a best-of-1 tiebreaker on, you guessed it, Oasis University. The Sombra map, again, that I did another thing about before, where it's literally just a race. You know, when I was analyzing Kongdu Panthera against Luxury Watch Blue, and it was literally just a race between Pine and Rascal just got fucked. Okay, this is almost the exact same thing, but both teams knew exactly what was happening, and both teams rushed it with the entirety of their teams, and the most mental fight I've ever seen on Oasis occurs. Okay, so both teams running as fast as motherfucking legs can take them. Both using the invisibility to give you a speed boost, both getting speed boosted by their respective Lucios, which, if you'll remember, Waka Waka didn't do that, and that was why Rascal didn't get to the point, get underneath quickly enough. You'll see here, ESKA just beats him. Just beats Twilight down there. Lord knows how. I literally don't know what the difference is in terms of these players actually making it to there when things are so close between them. I think ESKA uses his translocator perhaps slightly more efficiently and manages to get there a bit before. And then Twilight comes in. Now, because they were previously specking Twilight, that's why this thing shows up as like the enemy team has hacked it. But the casters thought that Twilight had hacked it because it's red, and it's just as Twilight finishes. Like, if you actually watch the whole thing, the way that I posed it makes it super obvious. But if you actually just watch the whole thing, it really, really does look like Twilight got the hack. Because you can't really tell who, like, you don't really remember who you were specking before it went to third person. And Twilight is like the most visible beam on it, and then it goes over to, and then it just goes. And like Combat Spirit are playing quite aggressively and stuff. So it really, really looks like Combox hacked that one. And honestly, I thought it was the same until I rewatched the VOD. I honestly had to rewind that like 5 times to figure out what the fuck went on. But the weird thing is as well, I mean, not the weird thing, but the thing that shows what a knife's edge all of this is on. Not only are they racing to get down there, but obviously if you're Sombra and you're hacking and you take damage, you flinch and you stop your hack as well, right? So all of these people are flooding down here to try and either get a tiny bit of damage into the enemy Sombra. So like Asher here will be trying his hardest just to fucking breathe. Just to breathe on ESKA to stop him getting the hack and allowing to and set Twilight up for it. But he doesn't manage it. This buttfuck pillar is in the way, just like a massive fucking pillar that you can't shoot through, obviously. ESKA gets the hack, and they almost lose the team fight anyway, because Miro and Zunba take the health kit accidentally. Like, Miro just takes it there after he kind of jumps in a bit. When he was on, honestly, his armor hadn't even depleted there, and he takes the health kit really early on. In fact, I'm not even sure that they knew that they had got it, in all honesty. Until this whole fight went down, because they suddenly have to react to having so many players down there. I think both teams were just kind of assuming that they would be able to get the pick on the enemy Sombra plus Lucio or something like that if they all rushed underneath. And they just met in this ridiculous mess on the bottom. ESKA Guido go down super quick. Again, Zumba just like falls on the health kit when he's on really high health, and it just gets regened up. And so both of their tanks have really not used the health kits to their largest effectiveness. That was terrible English, but you know what I mean. So they end up losing this primary fight anyway, but it's so scrappy. ESKA gets his EMP off. Twilight only on 40%, obviously, because he doesn't have any health kits to work with. He's just run around like hacking all the minis that are just all over the map. And even though Combat Spirit actually take it, they lose so many players that ESKA and lunatic-hai are able to actually come in within the 30 seconds. They manage to keep things hacked, and they end up flipping the fight, and they end up winning it. But that was just unbelievably crazy. Just absolute mayhem down there. What a ridiculous fight. An Oasis best of 1 tiebreaker on the Sombra map, University, after a draw fueled by Sombras on Anubis. Just insane. Just absolutely insane. So there you go. That was the lunatic-hai versus Conbox game in a nutshell. Madness. Sombra madness.